Welcome to the High Ground Podcast Franchise Wars. I'm CBW.
I'm Callum.
So today we are looking at Alien 3 theatrical cut versus the assembly cut.
Yeah.
So
It's
first
a
off,
bit different, this one.
yeah. So which one's your favourite?
I prefer theatrical cut because the assembly cut was with when the quadrilogy came out in 2003, wasn't it?
Yes.
Where we got special editions of every single one. And I think this is like every single Alien film. I prefer the original cuts. I always feel like they've just stuck deleted scenes in the special editions. But this one is a bit different. I do actually respect this one, but they have tried to sort of recut the film, if you like. And there are some scenes that give it a bit more depth, like the stuff with Golic, where he sort of sees the alien god, and I quite like that sort of stuff. But it's a bit of Donnie Darko for me. Like I think they explain too much in the assembly cut. You know, like the huge sort of queen face hugger they find, and like this, I don't know, yeah, a bit more explainy than the cut.
I'm gonna have to differ. We haven't done more of these like this in a while. I have to differ. I mean I've watched the only in the last year or so I watched the assembly cut, and I like the way that it's an alternative cut of the film. I mean, I completely agree with you. Aliens and Alien, it does feel like deleted scenes are just added in. But the fact that this is a recut film, it's kind of like Superman 2, the Dick Donner cut.
Yeah, or the extended Lord of the Rings, like the films are recut. They're not just plonked in scenes.
I mean, I completely understand why David Fincher didn't want to be officially involved with it because of how the studio treated him. He was a scapegoat for all the problems. I mean, Rennie Harlin was attached to direct, and he got there. He got there when it was an uncompleted script, wasn't it? I mean,
well, if you watch the documentary for it that's included with the sets now, it's probably the most interesting. I mean, we always find the trouble production more interesting, but even the original treatments and scripts that people put in, like they're all so varied and like interesting. You know, William Gibson, the great cyberpunk author of Neuromancer, he put forward a script which they've adapted into a comic book and an audio drama with Michael Bain and Lance Henriksen reprising their roles.
nice.
So like Hicks and Bishop and that were obviously alive in this. I mean, I know he's alive. Bishop's alive anyway, but Hickson knew in the comic book adaptation of the screenplay they're alive, and they take them to like a Weyland-Yutani sort of facility where they create a hybrid. It gets sort of more aliens towards the end of that script, but then you had one by a guy called Vincent Ward, which was the most interesting one for me, where with the wooden planet. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah, I've heard of it. I heard of the wooden planet idea.
I mean, it was so cool. It was like a monastery in space, but they sort of relinquished all technology, so the whole thing's like wooden, and they like grow crops, and and Ripley crash lands on that planet instead, and like like she leaves the Spilocco behind with Hicks and Newt, and then like obviously brings the alien with her, and all hell breaks loose. But I think a lot of the original screenplays were a lot more interesting than what we got.
Yeah, I mean, by Alien 3 after Aliens, it became a franchise.
Yeah.
I mean, but if you look at it, you've got just those three alone. You've got Alien, you've got Ridley Scott, James Cameron, and now David Fincher. I mean, this could have been like some of the stuff I was watching. Any person that was not as strong as David Fincher would have actually just jumped ship and would have said, "That's it, I'm not directing again." I mean, he took a lot of crap for this film. He did.
Doesn't count as film either, does he?
Pardon?
He doesn't count as his first film, does he either anymore? Because he's so disgusted with it.
Yeah.
Doesn't he count 7?
I'm not sure, but that wouldn't surprise me because I mean, 7. I mean, his visual style on that. I mean, for me, it's personally Fight Club. That's to me it's just pure brilliance.
Yeah, it's the same sort of experience that Finch had making Dune. He has nothing to do with it and doesn't acknowledge it.
But it's go back to the things. I mean, it generated on a budget of 50 million. It generated 159. So it did all right. I mean, I'm going to quickly look. I mean, the lowest one's like 108 million. That was Alien. I'm including Alien versus Predator. This is world box office gross in dollars. Alien took 108 million. Aliens 131. Alien 359. Resurrection 161. Alien versus Predator 177.
Wow.
Requiem 130. 403, which is best performer, and that's for Prometheus, and 240 million for Covenant. So it's
box office go up with each one essentially, don't they?
Yeah.
Until a certain point.
Yeah, except for I mean, Alien Requiem was they said it was 130. That was and of course a Covenant, but I think Prometheus alienated a lot of the fans. But that's for another time. Because
that is enough time.
Yeah, because I like Prometheus, but I remember seeing it I did see it when it came out in cinema, but I saw it shortly after. I saw it on video, Alien Theory, and I loved it. And it's got, I mean, the practical effects are great, and I like especially Golek. Golek's Paul McGann, his character, is well improved on.
It's all like a sort of not a guilty pleasure, but I've always thought it was better than people made it out to be. I think it's like one of those ones that's probably being reappraised now a lot more. Because I do hear a lot more people saying, "I know I actually I watched it again recently and blah blah blah." But I think it goes back to being scary again. There's one alien, everything's pared down. There's no guns, nothing. Like it's back to being a proper horror again, and it's quite gory as well, isn't it?
It is.
But I think that's probably what maybe put a lot of people off at the time. Like they sort of went from Alien, which was quite minimal and scary, and everything is 1A, like to start with, and then you go into Aliens, and it's like they've changed the form of an action film really well, and sequels should sort of pick it up a bit, but really faithful. But then I think going from that to Alien 3, like Hicks and Newt have been killed. Ripley's like a shadow of her former self. She dies at the end. I think everyone was kind of like, oh, no more Alien films then.
Yeah, but that might have been, you hit on a few things. The problems is that you want to see what happens to Hicks and Newt.
Yeah.
A customer expense for the studio for them to have to actually play Michael Bain off. But you've got that, so you've got Ripley on her own again, which is not good. Then where it gets out that she gets killed off at the end, and people don't want to see it because you always want your hero to live.
Yeah.
And and I don't think that helped when word got out that they were killing her off, because the self-sacrifice, you don't want your hero to do it. And
no.
And that's another thing that I liked about the ending of the assembly cut, is you don't actually see the alien bursting out of her chest at the end, which you do.
I quite like that as well. I must admit that's one of the things I did like about it, where it's still uncertain how long it's going to be till it comes. So I think her sort of dying before it happens, it does look sensational, doesn't it? As just as she's fallen into the smelting pit, it comes out then. Like it always seemed a bit contrived to me. That. Yeah, I'll agree with you there. That scene is better.
And in this, I mean, I'm going to go back because a lot of it is Golek. Golek's a bit of it. He's crazy, and in this one, you've got the whole thing. You've got them thinking rather that he has murdered the other inmates.
Yeah.
And he's being blamed for something he hasn't done, and everyone thinks he's crazy except for Ripley, and that goes on a little bit more in this cut until he he's the one that opens the doors that lets the alien out. To me, there's a
Yeah,
logic to it. He gets killed, and then rather than being killed off screen, which I thought was brilliant, and having and the way that Ripley is recovered is different.
yeah,
And I like the opening, and it's a lot slower. I mean, we're looking at 154 1 hour 54 minutes for the theatrical, and 2 hours 18 for the assembly. And
wow, that.
yeah, and when I was watching, I mean, I was watching it on Blu-ray, but I had on Blu-ray the assembly, but I had on my phone the theatrical, so I was literally looking at things the way they were pasting together when I was actually watching it, and it's I'm going to say about how it is an alternative cut, isn't it? It's based
Yeah,
on notes that David Fincher did, so to me that is more of his vision, and I like the confined environment like we had with Alien.
yeah, I think. But I'll tell you one thing. What big sort of no-no with the assembly cut is why they made the alien come out of an ox. Like it doesn't make any sense that it then runs like a dog, like in the theatrical cut. I like it's that scene where it comes up quite
Yeah,
gruesome, and you feel horrible for this dog as the funeral scene's happening.
yeah.
But then when it comes out of this big box, you just think, why surely it should be grazing.
Yeah, but I have a theory behind that. I think that's because they're trying to sweet talk David Fincher to working for them. You think about it, you fucked over David Fincher, you want him to go back, so you present him with a gift of, we are going to release a cut that's similar to what you wanted. I
Yeah,
think that was the
he
logic behind it.
does he?
I didn't.
He still doesn't like. I think look people. I mean, I don't think he's rude to fans if they ask him about it, but I think he's quite closed shop on doing commentaries for it, doing making ofs or anything like that. Isn't he? I mean, it's all archive footage whenever they do show him.
Which is understandable because it's always going to be
Like a
there.
black mark.
It's like the holiday special is to Star Wars. We don't talk about it, but it's there.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I was saying earlier, like Alan, his name, David Lynch with Dune. He was fucked around so much by the studios, that they did a 3-hour TV cut, and he put Alan Smithy as the director because he was so disgusted with it, but he is apparently coming around to sort of like he'll talk to again, not rude to fans about it if they want to about it, but that I think Dune is one of those films I've wanted a special edition for years because I actually really like Dune. I think it's quite good, like Alien 3 with the the stigmas attached that it's a troubled production, but I actually really like Dune. I think that's like the relation to Alien 3 that it has.
For me, it's the Superman 2, the Dick Donner cut. I mean,
Yeah,
for years there was a fabled cut out there of 75% of the film already done
yeah.
prior to shutting down to concentrate on Superman, and everybody for years, pardon?
They did that really well, didn't they? Reconstructed that.
Yeah, because they had to omit a lot of the stuff because so that they could get Richard Lester the credit for director on too, so they had to reshoot and everything. But it would be nice if they did a bigger Olive Branch and said to David Fincher, what would be your cut? I mean, you look at Ridley Scott, how many cuts there are of Blade Runner.
Yeah.
And then now, I mean, people consider, going back to Superman 2 again, how they use the test footage for a scene and they integrate it into the film and nobody bats an eyelid because they know that's the only way you get to see it.
Yeah.
And if they could just literally get David Fincher in the editing booth to say, well, how would you have done Alien 3? That would be interesting to see how it would compare to the assembly. It would. But I'll tell you one thing that did let it down, which ages it a bit, is the CG.
Yeah, I think it's sort of like it's the beginning of starting to integrate CG quite wholesale, isn't it? I mean, it's the same year as, is it 92 or
92, so it was a year before Jurassic Park.
Yeah, I was just, yeah, I love how you read my mind there. You know, that's a film that is at the inset, right at the start of using CG, and yet still perfect and better than some CG today.
Totally.
But yeah, I did notice watching those cuts again that I don't know if they smoothed some of it out for the assembly cut. I did sort of think maybe some of the CG looked a bit better. I don't know whether it's because I went from one to the other straight away, but you can tell there's a lot of sort of like matte lines on the alien, can't you, when it's running along the roof and that. I mean, when you see it up close, I mean the practical effects are great.
But that's the thing with Alien. I mean, with Alien and Aliens, because I mean, you've got James Cameron and David Fincher both come from the same effects backgrounds. So with the CG, it doesn't work. So James Cameron has gone heavy into digital now, but when James Cameron was doing practical, and Alien is better when it is practical.
I mean, and that's thanks to Tom Gillis and Alec Gillis and Tom Woodruff Jr. They're the two guys that are in the suits a lot of the time, and like their movements are like, it's scary how much, when you see them in the behind the scenes footage when they put head on and stuff, I think, wow, don't want to be on that set. That looks scary.
I mean, one person I know is with going back to the whole Ridley Scott thing with Prometheus and Covenant. I mean, Ridley can now merge the practical and CG, but that's only because we've got to the stage where he can do it. And Ridley Scott is a absolute incredible director, as is David Fincher.
I mean, I hate to spring some bad, but did you hear about the Ridley Scott thing? With the merge? The consensus now is that they're not going to pursue the end of the Prometheus thing.
Oh.
Well, what's happening is apparently David Giler and Walter Hill wrote a treatment for Alien 5 or a script, and Sigourney Weaver is interested apparently. So it's going to be the Blomkamp thing done.
Yeah.
Like, I think, but I mean, Ridley Scott didn't say, he just said he doesn't think there's any more grounds to go back to that time frame, which is annoying because they kind of set up this trilogy, and then if they're just going to ditch it in the second part, I mean, if we got an Alien TV series, that'd be different.
As long as Ridley Scott's attached to it, I mean, I just thought, Okay, I know. I'm going to go off subject and just say this: if all you've watched is Covenant once, then watch it again, because I found Covenant better on a second viewing.
Hang on, we're just gone. Can we pause it?
Yep, pause. Yeah, I think.
Sorry, listeners, that the peril of not doing this. With each other in the same house.
Yeah, it's not the same. You don't get the same chemistry over a phone as you do sitting there eating crap and drinking stuff which drinking what we drink.
And lemonade.
I did. The door. Yeah. It gave me a few seconds to actually. I mean, I know it's going to be seamless, but it gave me a few seconds to go through my notes, and it's I mean, we've definitely we've covered things with the whole thing with the ox, but there's thing during the funeral scene that goes on about and the chest bursters coming out, the dog. So you've got the death of, and then you got when they have the funeral for Newton Hicks, and there's got death and a new beginning with as Dylan says when he's doing, and with the alien coming out, and it's life from death, which is what the aliens are.
Yeah, literally.
It's and the use of. Do you think the Weyland Yutani? Do you think that should have been in it?
Well, they are at the end, aren't they?
I know, but I mean, they're in it more, with the computers and in. But do you think that you should have had a different villain, or after all these years, it's still Weyland Yutani?
No, I quite like them as a villain because they're like those. A lot of really good sci-fi villains are just, corporate types, and it sounds boring, but we all know how corrupt corporations can be.
Yeah.
So I quite like having Wayland Yutani as the concept of it, because knowing that the future is that sort of bleak and stuff, you know, that there's big corporations in charge of all these colonies.
Yeah.
I mean, if you sort of go into like the expanded stuff of Aliens, there are other corporations, but I think it's always implied that Wayland Yutani are like the biggest one.
Yeah. I think it's good because I mean you see more of them in Aliens, but
even more in the special edition, you know, but when the colony hasn't been destroyed or attacked yet.
Yeah.
Usually like the general sort of everyday thing that they do, but it's good. I I like having them be shadowy still though, like you don't know exactly what it is they do or want with the alien. I mean, you know what they want, but I'd like to see an alien film where they actually do get the alien for a change and see what they would do.
That would make for an interesting one. But then again, if you could do like overrunning Earth sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's what Alien 3 was originally supposed to be, wasn't it, with Rennie Harlin? I mean, you probably remember more than me. The original trailers advertised the fact that it was going to happen on Earth.
Yeah. It'd be ages since I watched the original trailers, but I remember at the time it was Alien 3 was a big thing. Because you got to remember this was 92, and the last one was in 86.
Yeah,
so it's.
I mean, the teaser is just like an image of an egg on Earth, and I think the tagline was like, "On Earth, everyone can hear you scream," or something like that.
Yeah.
So I think when everyone went in, they were sort of like missold because no one really. I don't think anyone really found out that there was problems and that they changed the plot till the film came out.
Yeah.
So everyone was kind of like, "What's going on? Why is it on Earth?"
But sometimes you have a good tagline and you go with it.
Yeah, definitely. Do you know one character? What character and actor that I want to really do give a shout out to is Charles Dance.
Yes.
I think he's fantastic as oh god, what was his name again?
Charles Dance is I wrote this down.
God, I forgot his name now. That's so bad.
Charles Dance.
I remember Gollick and I remember Dylan and
he is let me just click on here. Charles Dance is where are you? Clemens. Mr. Clemens. Yeah. Mr. Clemens.
No, I was going to make a point earlier about probably one good thing about Hicks and Newt being killed off is that Alien 3 is one of the first films I can remember that had the balls to kill off some major characters that you'd carried from the second one. You know, even Terminator doesn't do that. And, you know, that's like things like Game of Thrones make that commonplace now. There's
Game of Thrones with Charles Dance, and he's also in Last Action Hero and Imitation Game.
Yeah, and The Golden Child. I always remember him from that for some reason.
I haven't seen that in years.
Yeah, I haven't either.
And
he's in The Crown as well. Plays Lord Mountbatten.
The boss is actually the fiance.
He brings like this sort of like I don't know. There's like a real gravitas to Charles Dance, isn't there? Like his voice, and he always looks really tall and imposing.
And you got Charles Dance. You've got Alan Rickman, and you've got Alfred. Not Michael Caine. No, my brain's gone. Die Hard 3. Jeremy Irons.
Yeah.
Again, I would have
another. Charles Dance had his debut as a henchman in a James Bond film as well.
Which one?
Your Eyes Only.
Oh, me have to watch. I'm gonna watch that.
You'll know the place you can really notice him is when they go to the skiing part where he does where that bad guy's like the Olympic shooter, isn't he? In that. When they go up to the ski lift, Charles Dance is just behind him, like the guy following him.
I am going to. I've got it, so I am going to watch. I just recently.
Bit of trivia.
Yeah, and which is a segue. We are going to be doing some James Bond ones soon. So. I actually watched some of the other ones. Brian Glover, Andrews.
Yeah.
He was He was in the Tetley adverts, the animated ones from the 80s.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And chess player.
Brian Glover's good in that actually.
He's brilliant, and he's a chess player. He's classed as a chess player in An American Werewolf in London. Danny Randall, who plays Morse, I really only know him from the Owner of a Lonely Heart music video by Yes.
He's in
And-
that episode of Doctor Who with the devil as well.
Oh,
On Satan's planet or something.
ooh, I'll have to watch that because I've got all the Doctors, majority of the new seasons anyway.
Related to Morse as well, actually. Before you, I don't keep meaning to interrupt, but there's a fictional sort of in-universe book written by Morse called Star Beast, which is the original name for the original script of Alien back in the 70s. And it's like written as if, you know, he's the survivor and he's become a monk now, and it's written like his biography of like what happened and sort of that. I like when they do those sort of in-universe
Who wrote
fictional
it?
sort of accounts. It's pretty good.
Did he write it? The guy who plays in Danny Webb? Or
No, I think it was like an author that wrote it, but it's written like as if his character wrote it.
yeah. I got one. Aaron and Garlic. So Ralph Brown and Paul McGann both together in With Nail and I, and I was like, again, and the last little geeky.
Oh, and Rick Olay is Star Wars.
Star Wars, yeah. And the boat that rocked. I think he's brilliant in the boat that rocked. But a lot of youth people are like, you don't know that. The hippie roadie in Wayne's World 2. Okay. Here's one for you. Paul McGann, who played the 8th Doctor.
Yeah.
Who does he, in Doctor Who universe, he becomes... John Hurt. The War Doctor. He does. So, Alien 3 becomes Alien. So, I thought that was... He was actually... Paul McGann was actually a convention. Before conventions started, we got lucky. Literally a month or so before COVID, they had a Doctor Who convention in Leicester, and I thought I've never met anyone from an Alien film, and I just thought I want to meet someone from Aliens, or from an Alien movie, and I got lucky. I got to meet Paul McGann, and he is so cool. He is.
I bet you didn't ask him about Alien 3.
I was going to ask him about Alien 3, but I just watched With Nail and I literally just hours before I went for the first time, and I was like, that film blew me away. And then I said to the fiance recently, I said, I really want to meet him again, get because I want to say how great Alien 3 was now. And how much I really love With Nail. Paul McGann is a brilliant actor. He's such a nice guy.
He is good, yeah.
But to actually say, yes, I've met someone connected to the Alien universe
He's deranged in this, though, isn't he?
Oh, he's scary.
Properly deranged. In fact, do you know what? I would have actually been... I thought it would have been quite cool if this had been set in the Alien universe, but there was no alien. Like, just to see how crazy these prisoners are.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming that Weyland-Yutani owns the prison, don't they?
Yes.
It's all their computers and stuff are there, aren't they? But that's another thing as well. I like that they carry on with the whole universe thing. Like it looks, all the technology looks 70s and 80s style computers, doesn't it? And it's just, I love that sort of retro aspect of it. How retro futurism, in a sense.
Yeah, and again, that has a big shout out to The Galaxy Far, Far Away, which has got Ridley Scott involved in it. And it's, I completely 100% agree. It looks, but it adds to the look of it. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's very
DOP on Alien 3. Let's have a look. It's like I'm having problems with the audio. I was going to apologise to the listeners for this is the problem of doing it over. Let's have a quick look. They've changed the whole IMDb layout, and it's for the record, when we're doing these, we actually pull up IMDb because it's a good way broadcasting. Yeah, I was thinking the other day. I remember in the old days where if you wanted stuff like that, you'd have to go onto Halliwell's.
Yeah. God, I remember Halliwell's.
It was there's a cinematography by Alex Thompson.
Oh, Alex Thompson. Yeah, that was it. Yeah, I have heard of him before actually, but I thought it was someone like uber famous.
He also did Cliffhanger, DOP on Cliffhanger straight after Alien 3, Demolition Man.
Good choices.
Yeah. Raw Deal. Yeah, I was watching Cliffhanger the other day. That's beautifully shot.
Do you know one thing I do think is really good about Alien 3 is if you view Ripley's story as like a trilogy, which in about I'd say it is.
It is.
Even though she's a clone, isn't she?
Yeah.
It has a nice little sort of end, that she dies at the end, and you can follow it from the start to the end. I feel like that about Alien 3. It's like the end of an unofficial trilogy.
It should have ended like that. That's the problem with, besides the fact you said about gore and horror. I actually watched Alien Resurrection for the first time fully since I saw it at the cinema, and it was gore for the sake of gore, and it was off-putting.
Yeah.
I didn't like it at all. I thought the scenes with the mutated versions of Ripley was too voyeuristic. It was like, look at this. This is gruesome. We are showing you gruesome, and the hybrid alien at the end.
Yeah.
I was watching it. I was like going, you know what? This is. It's not uncomfortable in a good way. It's uncomfortable in a bad way, not in a horror way. It's like you're putting in it just to gross out, not to scare. It wasn't scary. It was just gore for the sake of gore. Whereas Alien 3, was more horror, real traditional horror. Yeah, but I think the theatrical cut in terms of running time, that actually you could argue in terms of horror aspect it's the theatrical cut is better because it's shorter, and I think you have a shorter, more confined editing.
Yeah.
I'm not saying the editing pacing is faster, but by cutting out the stuff which you don't really need, it does kind of make it more scary. Whereas
more concise or something, like everything. I think I don't know. It's because it can vary, can't it? Some directors cut so short because they're doing exactly that. Like the director's gone back and said, "Well, that seems crap. We'll get rid of that. We'll pair this." And I agree with that totally. I think the theatrical cut's more concise. It's more succinct. It does everything quickly and fast, and you don't have a chance to think. Especially the scene where it's chasing them all around the maze, the hallway. I love that. I think that's a fantastic. I've always loved that scene even when I was a kid. I think Alien 3 was actually the first one I watched on video.
Right.
I'm sure it was. It might have been that or Alien, I can't remember. But the childhood was a long time ago.
Yeah.
But no, it might have been Alien actually. Because I think my dad was kind of like, this one's not as gory, so you can watch this one.
This is the action one, the easier to get into. That's the gateway one. Yeah. For me, it was Alien, then Aliens 3. But
I think it may well have been that order.
But I mean, I'll tell you, I found the extended cut of Doctor Sleep. Sorry, it's not the extended cut; it's director's cut. This one is a legitimate director's cut. I thought that was scarier. But when it comes to The Shining, I thought the theatrical cut was better than the extended cut. And I prefer the Doctor Sleep is just like The Martian. The Martian works better, but The Martian's not a horror. The Martian is. I'm gonna have to. We're having problems with the. This is the problem. We're having problems with the volume at the moment, so I'm going to pause for 2 seconds. And we're back again. Right, I want to apologise again for the audio. It's just the audio, man. This is what happens when you have lockdown. I'm gonna go on a little bit of a rant here. You know, it's kind of funny, right? If you worked in a big business, I mean, we social distance anyway when we podcast because we have a table with the microphone and the snacks and everything on. So but because we are quote unquote, we're not a business as such. We're doing it for entertainment purposes. That's wrong, but you can. It's crazy. But I'm hoping you can still hear and you're still enjoying it, even though the sound is. So back to the whole, I just think we were saying about the whole horror aspect. I think with something like Alien, with the claustrophobia in the where you don't know where you are, it is the shorter cut does work better for scares, but in terms of character development, it is the longer cut.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm saying about Ridley Scott, just the fact that his link with using director's cuts and extended versions on DVD, well, at the time it was DVD and now Blu-ray, he's all for sort of the audience being able to see those other cuts, because a lot of the time they will just go on the cutting room floor, back in the day there's no way you could put them on VHSs. And he's really on board with like everyone seeing every possible version of things that are out there, because we're paying for it at the end of the day.
Yeah, I like that. I like the. I mean,
I like that. Yeah.
I like the the whole what could have been. Even if it's I mean, Taken 2 is not the best film, but there's an alternative ending, and it's good to see the alternative ending, and it's good to see different cuts. I've always said that if I was a filmmaker, I'd love to. I'd put on the stuff that I want to see, which would be like a director's cut, the theatrical cut, and the first cut, because that way anybody that's interested in film gets to see what might have been, and I think it's brilliant. And with something like the assembly cut, rather than just saying here's the deleted scenes, it's good to see. I mean, you said it's the same with the whole Lord of the Rings.
Oh, completely different films.
Yeah.
I remember when they first came out, I wasn't a huge fan of like I am now of Lord of the Rings when it first. I mean, I loved it, but when I heard the extended version, I thought, wow, isn't it long enough? And then you watch it, and I was kind of like, oh, that didn't happen on the last film at that point. So, like Peter Jackson literally re-edited the films to be different films, and that's director's cuts that I appreciate, because it's so the director said, right, it's too long for the cinema. They didn't like me constant around with this scene, so you guys can see it now. And that's the sort of director's cut I love, not just the deleted scenes plonked in where you can tell where they start and end.
Yeah. I mean, with I saw or read that with The Shining, they released the extended cut the first, then Stanley Kubrick said he didn't like certain things and just took it and slashed a few scenes away, and it worked better.
Well, Kubrick was infamous for being a sort of perfectionist, wasn't he? So I can totally imagine him doing something like that. Although kudos to him for when Clockwork Orange was released, because of all the controversy and the violence it was apparently causing. He was the one that actually pulled it from cinemas. It wasn't banned like everyone believes. He was the one that said, I'm not going to be responsible for a moral panic, so no one can have it.
Yeah.
So I don't think he's as sort of. I mean, he is undoubtedly a bit arsehole sometimes, but
a genius. If you make something, I mean, eventually we'll tackle The Shining.
yeah.
There's so much been said about The Shining. That's always.
I wish we'd done a commentary for Halloween now for it. But it doesn't have to be Halloween.
No, God no. I mean, it's one of those. I mean, it's the. I mean, going off. It's film. It's cinema. It's perfection. The Shining is perfection. But I wrote on my notes: Alien meets Die Hard with confined environment.
Yeah, I can't see that actually.
Oh, and something else that was one of our first notes. I can't even believe I missed it. At the end of the film, it's Alien 3. Is Bishop actually human, or is he? Because where he gets is the back of his head hit. It looks like his ears falling off.
But it's got. I don't know. It's called Bishop 2 in the cast list, but he's got red blood when he gets hit. So I think it's supposed to be the guy that they modelled Bishop on. Or like I think like EVP's obviously not canon, but
No.
you know that he's like the original Wayland guy.
Yeah.
I think like, and then they modelled all the androids after him, but I don't know if that's canon anymore because obviously Guy Pearce is Charles Wayland now.
Yeah.
Whatever his name is now, I can't remember the first name, but I think that's canon now, isn't it?
Yeah, I've never thought Alien vs Predator was canon. I swear I've got around with not actually owning them because I don't want to own them. They're terrible.
It may be that Lance Henriksen is the designer of Bishop, and all their androids are based on, like the designers. I don't know, like maybe Ash, maybe his designer looked like that.
Yeah.
They sort of put their own ego into their creation.
A bit like Yoda.
Doesn't look like.
Isn't Yoda part Stuart Freeborn?
What's that?
Isn't Yoda, his eyes are modelled on Stuart Freeborn?
Yeah, they are, yeah. And Einstein, I think.
Yeah. So, yeah, it does make sense that they would actually model you would model yourself after your synthetic after you.
Yeah, I mean, here's the real kicker as well. Do you believe that Alien is set in the same universe as Blade Runner, and that the AIs are the early versions of the replicant, or the later version?
Never thought about it, but I'd like to say yes. I'm gonna say yes because
I like to think it is. I mean, it's a theory that's been kicking around for a while. I mean, if none of you have heard of it, obviously go and Google it or look on YouTube. There's loads of stuff about it. But the thing where I noticed it was one of the special features on Prometheus is like a sort of, again, like an in-universe sort of email from Wayland to someone else, and it mentions Tyrell Corporation, and it immediately jumps out at you, and you think, oh wait, they can't be, can they? And you think, oh, maybe Wayland Yutani is the one that bought out Wallace after he buys Tyrell. I don't know.
I'd like it. I would love it to be in the same universe. That would be absolutely fantastic. Because I'm going to just go out and say right now, I think we will do a Prometheus, not a franchise war, but we will do Prometheus and Covenant as underrated classics.
Yeah.
So, but
what do you think of the look of the alien in this one? Like or not like?
I like it. I mean, it's different because it's more streamlined, but it fits into the whole thing about coming out of an ox or a dog. But I just thought you go to there, then you go to that fucking alien in Alien Resurrection.
Oh, the newborn.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just looks stupid with a human face. And I think I like the idea that this is the one that started the whole idea of whatever the alien comes out of, it kind of is genetically linked to, because we've only ever seen them come out of people so far, so it makes sense that they look humanoid.
Yeah.
Whereas coming out of like a dog or an ox, it at least makes sense why it runs on all fours.
Yeah.
I mean, they call this alien the runner now,
Yeah.
like the fans do. So, but I mean, it still looks similar, doesn't it? Like it's still got the penis head.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is a giant penis, isn't it?
Yeah. But yeah, I'm trying to think something I can actually say, but that I can get away with on this. But yeah, I'll say that for the yeah. It is, but again, yeah, it is. Yeah, bursting out instead of.
If you all want to go out and look for it, there's so much Freudian symbolism with the alien, and obviously Giga's original designs are quite erotic and weird. But I think that's what made the alien look so good in the original one, that it wasn't an alien we'd ever seen before. Like because I mean, you say alien before Alien came out, and you think Star Trek, don't you? Or, like even my dad went to see Alien when it first came out when he was in the army, and he said like it was just a bunch of us thought, oh, it'd be like Star Wars, like it's just about an alien. And he says we all came out white as fucking sheets, like not knowing where to go. And it was that originality with how. I mean, one thing I always noticed that makes the alien look really unsettling is that it doesn't have eyes.
Yeah.
You don't know where to look, and it's so creepy, and the tongue as a second mouth. It's so alien that it worked.
Yeah. And the way
Yeah,
that's, and,
it's horrible.
yeah. But okay, I think we're ramping this up now.
Yeah, I mean, I don't hate the assembly cut. I just prefer the theatrical because for me it's like a Donnie Darko scenario where they sort of explain a bit too much, and like even the backstory of some of the criminals is explored a bit more, isn't it? And I kind of like my mysteries, if I'm honest.
For one, me, I just really detest the Donnie Darko,
Yeah.
the director's cut. But for me, it works.
The assembly cut's that bad, as bad as that.
Yeah.
I just, if I had to pick, I would say theatrical cut because it's good that they're trying to do like a different cut of the film rather than the other special editions in the box set are just, like we said, they're just deleted scenes, aren't they? Really.
I'm gonna go. I do like. I like the exploration. Because you know, when they get of characters. So I'm actually different for you for the first time in
a while.
So yeah, so I'm going to go with. I prefer in terms of as a film. In general, film I prefer the assembly cut. But if we're talking just horror, it would be the pacing of the theatrical. But I go if I was to pick one to watch, it would probably be the assembly.
Yeah.
So yeah. Well, I hope you've enjoyed our little discussion on franchise wars. Either.
Yeah, it was a bit different. It wasn't like two different films this time. It was sort of two versions of the same film.
Yeah, we like to do stuff that's different, and there's so much out there you could do it so easy, and it's just good to actually dissect something like this.
Yeah,
so,
we'll probably do it Blade Runner as well, won't we?
You mean I get to
which version?
I'm up for that. I mean, this is the whole thing about doing this. It gives us, if you haven't seen the films, which or you might want to reappraise the films, but for us, it gives us an opportunity to sit down and watch the films again.
Yeah, which is what it's all about, really, isn't it?
Yeah. And when we go back to doing the commentary tracks, which I'm really looking forward to, you get to watch the film twice in a week, at least.
We do.
So.
We do our notes first, don't we?
Yeah.
The actual commentary.
At least it gives you. At least when I want to watch a film and the boss doesn't, I get to go. We need to watch this film today because we're podcasting it.
Yeah, it's work.
Yeah. You do want me to do my work, don't you? Yes. Good way of getting around it. If you're studying film, or in education, or you just want to study film, use it as an excuse to watch a film you want to watch.
Yeah.
And if it's not a film, oh yeah. But we need. It's like we did the Ghostbusters one, but we need to watch Ghostbusters 2, and yeah, that was good. On that note, I'm Stevie W.
And Callum.
See you soon.